Hey there, Vikings Nation. Get ready to dive deep into the Skol state of mind. Join our host, D. Woods, as he shares his unfiltered takes on all things Vikings, from expert game analysis to player controversies and everything in between. If you love the Vikings for better or worse, then you've come to the right place. So grab a drink and let's talk all things purple and gold. This is the Skol State of Mind podcast.
Welcome to the Skol State of Mind podcast. I'm your host, D. Woods. Now, the Vikings have just fallen to 0-3 on the season. I mean, we thought we would probably be, 2-1 at this point, but unfortunately, we are 0-3, and there's a lot of issues that the Vikings have. But let's get into it. This is how I feel. I feel the Vikings lack discipline and toughness. And why I say that is these guys, they don't know how to really oppose their will on an opposing team. Like, it seems like they sit back and they take all the licks and the other team just does whatever they want to do to them. And I'm just saying, like, discipline also too, because it's like, these are professional football players. You shouldn't be making, offsides penalties or false start penalties. I understand holding can probably get called on every play, but it just seems like when a drive is going, they pretty much shoot themselves in the foot. So I really feel like they lack toughness and they lack discipline. Also, I don't think they know how to play complementary football nor situational football. Because think about it like this, right? When you're talking about complementary football, you're talking about your offense actually helping out your defense and your defense looking out for your offense. There's too many times in this early season where the defense gets a 3 and out and the offense comes right back on the field and gives the ball right back, either through a turnover or a 3 and out. So that's, to me, like, they don't really understand like complementary football, because it just happens over and over and over again. And like the offense, it just disappears certain times, and the 3 and outs are still an issue. And I still can't believe like we're talking about 3 and outs right now. And situational football, at the end of the game, like, I normally don't get on here unless there's a real issue with Kirk Cousins. But hey, look, you got about 45 seconds left in the game. It's, first down. You got to make sure you stop the clock and have as much time as possible to get your team in the end zone to actually win the game. I don't want to hear no shit about you have to hear the play and you have to wait for that. At that point, you're just wasting seconds at this. You have no timeouts. The best thing for you to do is get everyone set, clock the ball, spike it. You get what I'm saying? Stop the clock, then figure it out. So in my opinion, there's no excuses for that. And that starts with you, Kirk Cousins. I blame you for that. Kevin O'Connell, if you're trying to get a play in and you know damn well you should spike the ball, I blame you too. Because what are you guys doing? Like, you guys are not practicing situational football. Like, you're a professional football team, and these mediocre mistakes should not happen. And it seems like these mistakes happen more often with the Vikings than any other team. Like, I'm just being completely honest. Like, you know that, like, there's no timeouts, first and goal, about 45 seconds left. Let's hurry up, clock the ball, get the play in. Maybe we got 2 plays, as long as the ball is, not completed or whatever, is not a run play, but you basically rushed that last play and look what happened. So I'm really disappointed, because it's like, I just can't believe, like, we're pissing away these wins because these players can't get the mental aspect of the game together. So let's keep moving on. This defense isn't good. All right. And I'm adamant when I say that. This defense is not good. This defense is fucking trash. Like, I don't care if a certain player is highly graded as a lot of pressures. I don't give a shit if Danielle Hunter is sacking a quarterback. It seems like the opposing offenses, especially Philadelphia and with, the Los Angeles Chargers today, they got whatever the fuck they wanted. And what I'm saying that is last game against Philadelphia Eagles, right? They ran the ball down our throats over 200 yards. All right, that's, it happened, whatever. People are saying, oh my God, we're too small. That's why it happened. My opinion was the linebackers and, then were washed out a lot. It was all these fucking excuses, right? So to this game, they're without Austin Eckler. And you know what happens? Justin Herbert throws for over 400 yards. All right. I thought this defense was built to stop the pass. It looks like this defense is built to stop any damn thing because I think the stats, I'm going to bring it up. Let me bring it up real quick. I think the stats, so make sure that I'm right. Quote me on it. I think Keenan Allen had 20 targets, 18 catches, and 215 yards. How the fuck does that happen? Like, let's just be honest. Let's stop trying to be cute and trying to say, oh, Brian Flores is going to change the defense and this defense is going. Brian Flores, you're not doing a good fucking job right now because last week you got gashed by over 200 yards with the run. Now, this team couldn't run the ball effectively, so they passed on you. And it was touted that this defense, because they were smaller, they were able to cover more, and teams couldn't pass on us because the pass rush is going to get better. Well, that's not fucking true. That's not true. This defense is bad all the way around. Okay, let's stop getting cute with the situation and saying pressures or sacks or anything like that. They are giving up too much. All right, look at Keenan Allen's stat line. Like I said, 20 targets, 18 receptions, 215 yards. Mike Williams, 8 targets, 7 receptions, 121 yards. All right? Like, how does that happen? That means your defense is not good. Your defense is not well-rounded. Justin Herbert, look at this shit. 40 completions out of 47 for 405 yards with 3 touchdowns. 1 sack. Where is the defense good? Explain to me, how is that a good defense? Explain it to me, please. It seems like offenses are going to get whatever they want. And that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to say it again. I don't care about any PFF pressures, any, sacks or whatever you want to talk about, because they're not helping equaling wins. They are not. Okay? They're just running around there, not doing nothing. All right? I'm going to say it again. I do not want to hear about any rushing the passer, any sacks, or anything to get cute, because this defense just gave up 405 yards passing today. And that can't happen. If your defense is good, you don't give up that damn much. Because when they needed to get certain spots in the ball and get a first down, they got it. Now, mind you, I do understand and I do take into accountable that the defense did get off the field in that 4th down and gave the offense the ball back to win the game. And that goes back to my other point when I'm talking about complementary football. You have to be able to finish the damn game. There's no excuses at this point. All right, let's move on. KOC. Yes, yes, and yes. I am really starting to think that KOC is a fraud. Why I'm saying that is because just because he was standing by McVay and he was McVay's offensive coordinator or whatever, you're not getting Sean McVay. So KOC actually has the opportunity to figure things out and become a good coach. But as of right now, he's not there. And I don't know if you guys see me on other channels when we talk about the honeymoon stage or whatever. Well, the honeymoon stage is basically over. You won 13 games last year and you haven't won a game this season. What the hell is going on? And a lot of these things come on coaching, like not having your team ready, not practicing situational football, not playing complementary football. It falls on the head coach. I'm sorry. It might sound harsh or whatever, but it falls on the head coach. Okay? Like just get that clear because I feel like some of these guys aren't prepared. I feel they aren't ready. And it's like the laid back persona of just sitting back and just like, okay, everything's going to be okay. No, it's not going to be okay. Games need to be won. You don't win games just because you're projected to win them, with Vegas or whoever website. You still have to go in there and win these games. And the Vikings have not done that. They have shot themselves in the foot all 3 games, and that's why they are 0-3. So this is my message to KLC. What are you going to do from this point on? What are you going to do? Because your team's not ready. You're still having dumb penalties. Kirk Cousins can't spike the ball to stop the clock, the last drive of the game to win the game. Like, what's going on? Your defense is bad. Like, come on, man. Get the shit together. Now, can they climb back? I do not know. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I do not know if they can climb back because you're an 0-3 hole. I mean, it's a 17-game season. A lot of times, it's saying that, okay, when you start 0-2, it's basically the season's over. So they're 0-3. What can they do going forward? I don't know. I really don't know. And I don't even know if climbing back is a good thing. Like, we understand that the Vikings might be in the market for a free agent, not a free agent, excuse me. They might be in the market for a young quarterback next year. And maybe if this team is bad, maybe they got to start doing other things, seeing what they have in Jaron Hall or whatever. And maybe they're just going to back into a bad record and draft a quarterback next year. So when it's saying about climbing back and being competitive and trying to make a playoff push, I really don't know. I really don't know. So with the Vikings being 0-3, let's look forward to the next 3 games. All right. Excuse me. You got Carolina, Kansas City, and Chicago. All right. Carolina, Kansas City, and Chicago. Now, I am going to be brutally honest with you guys right now. The Minnesota Vikings were, the favorites to win the first game of the season against Tampa Bay and this game against the Los Angeles Chargers. And they lost. So it would be dumb for me just to sit up here and say, like, yeah, they're going to get a win in Carolina. This shit's not guaranteed. Like, games still have to be played, and it's just not guaranteed. Like, I have to be honest with that. So let's say they do beat Carolina. Then they have the Chiefs. The Chiefs look like they're rolling now. Like, the Chiefs look like the Chiefs right now. I mean, they're getting it done. Yeah, they played the Chicago Bears, but whatever. So think about it like this. Say they lose against the Chiefs. So what is the record now at that point? You're 1-4. So you play against Chicago. Chicago's not doing good right now. They have a lot of issues on and off the field. So you get a win against Chicago. So now what? You're 2-4. You're 2-4. Basically, you're 2-4. Like, come on now. Like 2-4. What are you gonna be able to do with that? Like, because Out of Chicago, you got San Francisco and Green Bay. Now, you lose against San Francisco. So now you're 2-5. Like, season is basically over at that point because the game that you should have won, you lost. So, like, I don't know I don't know what they're gonna do at this point. I mean, can they make a run? Yes, they can, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be a challenge. These are probably, Kansas City and the the 49ers are probably going to be one of the two teams in, the title games, realistically. So what what are you going to do? Like, yeah. Now, if they do go 2-5, should Quasi blow it up? And we have to understand when we're talking about blowing it up, like, you can't really blow it up in the season, right? Like, because you still got to be, a little bit competitive or whatever. Even if you're trying to lose, like, it's hard to blow it up in the season. Like, do I believe that Kirk Cousins can get traded? No, I really don't. Unless there's a desperate team that we don't know of as of right now that needs a quarterback to plug in to try to make a playoff push. That's the only way. Like, the Jets, stop talking about that shit. It's not happening to the Jets. All right. I may be wrong. Let's see what happens. But blowing it up would be basically like trading off older players just to get something back. Now, we talk about a lot of trades here and there, and I feel like a lot of fans don't really understand like trades, and I understand trades a little bit differently. Well, I have my own perspective about trades, so let me correct that. My perspective on trades is basically like this: if I want to trade a player, I'm going to set what I want first. Like, this is what I'm trying to get, and if I get what I want, I'm cool with it. Sometimes you're not going to be able to win every trade, so I feel like this: if there's a trade out there for Kirk Cousins, can we get a second and a third just to get something back? If is there a trade out there for Harrison Smith? Can I get a sixth or a seventh? Danielle Hunter is, I'm not sure if he's leading the league in sacks as of right now because I haven't looked at that, all the games or whatever. But if he is, and a team, wants to look at Danielle Hunter going forward, and Danielle Hunter waives his, non-trade clause or whatever, that's cool. Can I get a third or a fourth? Like, I'm not trying to sit here and be like, I need to get first round picks for everything, because that's not going to always happen, especially in the season. I mean, we have to really be honest about that. Like, that's not going to always happen. So I'm okay with it. If Quasi sits there and it's like, look, we 2-5, we're probably not going to make the playoffs. I mean, we could make a push to try to get the division, but we ain't going to be going far in the, in the playoffs or whatever. Let's see what we got in Jaren Hall. Let's let all the young guys play and see what we got and reevaluate everything in the offseason. I am cool with that. Like, I am, as a Viking fan, I'm fine with that. I'm still going to watch the games. Like, I'm not going to turn off the TV. I'm not going to follow them on social media. I'm still going to be doing content for you guys. Like, that gives me some kind of hope down the road, because, like I said, this season may have already been lost, right? So I'm okay with that. But then you run into the issue too with, do you even believe in the management to actually get something like that done? And I got this weird theory right now, right? So, let me take this off real quick. So I got this weird theory right now, and I mean, this weird idea, right? So we just saw that the Denver Broncos got smashed 70-10. They lost by 60 points. Like, no NFL team should ever lose like that. Like, that shit is ridiculous. That's embarrassing. I don't know how they come back from that. So George Payton, which was basically Rick Spielman's assistant or whatever, he's been with the team for a long time. Like, I guess he was waiting in the wings, to become the next general manager if something happened to Rick Spielman or whatever. So I think he left the team maybe a year or two too early because Rick got fired. And, before Rick got fired, he went and took the job at, the Denver Broncos. Well, Sean Payton came to the Denver Broncos talking a lot of shit, about Nathaniel Hackett not being a good coach, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but Nathaniel Hackett, nobody put up 70 on him. Like, they put up 70 on you. That's going to be your, people going to talk about that shit for years. That, the Miami Dolphins put up 70. So when you talk a lot of shit, you fuck around and find out. So that's what happened to him. So what I'm thinking about it is too, is just like maybe higher ups in the front office in Denver would be like, George Payton, thank you for your services. Boom, boom, boom. We got to move on for you, just to kind of make Sean Payton more comfortable, because we know Sean Payton is a brash individual or whatever. He's going to make an excuse and say he needs his guys or whatever. Yeah, whatever. Right. So this is just hypothetically speaking. What if George Payton in the offseason comes back to the Minnesota Vikings in some kind of role? Now, I'm not saying that he comes back to the Minnesota Vikings and he takes over for Kwesi or he boots Grigson out, whatever. But what I'm saying is he was with the team for some time and he knows like football. Excuse me. I'm not sure if he's an actual straight up X's and O's football guy, but for him to be around Tricky Ricky for all those years, he has to learn something. And I would love for him to come back and actually help rebuild this team. You get what I'm saying? Rebuild this team, because there's a lot of things that the Minnesota Vikings need to do this offseason and get it done, right? So with being 0-3, that really affects a little bit about Justin Jefferson's contract. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. When it comes to Jefferson's contract, they actually have a year and maybe a franchise tag or whatever. Because this is things that we need to be talking about now because they're 0-3. 0-3, okay? Season may be over. So let's say Justin Jefferson gets a deal in the offseason of, next offseason or that, right? And all honestly, if you really think about the numbers, like on a personal level with the cap going up, it might be beneficial for Justin Jefferson to sign next year because he's probably going to get more money. Like the more and more they wait, the more and more money they got to pay. So let's see what happens with that. Like, I know it's really premature to be talking about moves in the offseason right now, but we gotta think down the line because this team they're 0-3, and it's not like games are going to get easier. They still got to go out there and play and win games. So I'm just saying, like, this is a wake-up call for the front office. This is a wake-up call for the coaches. This is a wake-up call for the fans, for the culture. This is a wake-up call for everybody. Like, I just feel like as of right now, we all need to be on page to say, like, what the hell we going to do, especially if we go 2-5. Like, what the hell are we going to do? Like, there has to be a unified plan of what to do. And maybe Kwesi's a genius. Maybe some of the reasons why Kwesi didn't go out and, sign certain players or upgrade certain positions because, he wanted to backdoor his way into a bad record and have more ammunition to basically do what he wanted to do, in the offseason. Maybe that's it. I mean, it's I'm just thinking it maybe not be true, but there's a lot of things we got to be talking about. And it's just like I really don't know like what to expect for this team going forward. Do I want them to win more games? Do I want them to be competitive? I'm really like cut in the middle because it's like there's so many holes on this team that need to get fixed, and being uber competitive and getting to the playoffs, it's like, your draft capital is going to get lower and lower. Like, I'm not saying I want them to tank. I don't believe in the whole tanking thing. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, like, just have the position to be maybe picking in the middle of the draft to where you probably don't have to trade up to get anybody in. You can just draft somebody that's already right there. And I'm just saying, like, that goes to the issue all over again. Like, do we actually trust Kwesi to do that? I gotta give him a 50-50 because if you look at his first draft, you got Lewis Scenes not playing. Ed Ingram's not good. Andrew Booth's not playing. You know, you got Asamoah's not really playing. And then you got this year's draft. Oh, Caleb Evans is playing. So then you got this year's draft where basically, you know, Jordan Addison's a stud. Like first round, Jordan Addison's a stud. He's doing what he does. I mean, you didn't have a second round pick because you traded, for TJ Hawkinson. So that's doing good for you right now. You Ivan Pace or whatever. If I'm not really high on him, but you can say, oh yeah, Crazy found him and undrafted free agent. So his drafts are like basically to be determined. But I do feel like the mistakes that he made in the draft his first year, I don't think he's going to make them this upcoming, draft. Maybe he'd be a little bit better. You have to throw into the fact though too, like when the GM is actually hired in the off season, they don't necessarily get rid of the scouts who scout the players that year because they still need to draft because the draft is in the offseason or whatever. They normally get rid of the scouts the following year. So Quasi basically has his guys or whatever. But that's why I was talking about the George Payton situation, because maybe he can come in here and be some kind of like consultant or whatever to kind of like guide the situation or whatever, because there's a lot of things with the team that basically needs to get changed. And I mean, it's just fucked up because it's like we already looking for the off season and we only in week 3. Like that's sad. But my boy Tony, man, my boy Tony Bell, you can find him on Purple Rain 24/7 podcast. Like I really like listening to that dude because it's like he said something that resonated with me, and I was just like, damn, I never really thought about it like that. He said, you knew this team was bad last year based on their losses. And if you really sit back and you think about like their losses, they didn't just fucking lose. They got their ass whooped when they lost. The Dallas game, the Green Bay game, like they got their butts whooped when they lost. So, and that's who they are. And like it's football, so you got to take the good bounces and the bad bounces. Like if you look at the situation with Zimmer his last season, I know you guys don't like going back with Zimmer, but just think about it like this though, right? A lot of those close games that Zimmer had his last season, they lost, right? So Kevin O'Connell comes in here and they win the close games. But now, you're in this year, Kevin O'Connell's in the second season. He's not winning these close games. He has to work harder to win the close games. And that's just football. That's just regressing to the means, basically. So I think Zimmer finished what last record was like 98 or whatever. Now, if they regress back to 98, it's like that's where this team is. You need to rebuild. You need to, let these older guys and these older contracts, on the books go away and restart this team. And I do like you got to understand to the point like, hey, if you go into a free rebuild, like you might not be able to retain Justin Jefferson. That goes back to my other video, that got a lot of Viking fans mad when I was saying that Vikings should be thinking about trading Justin Jefferson. And now it just makes it a little bit more, I'm not saying more obvious, and it makes it, yeah, they should actually do it. But I'm saying it's like, it should be talked about. Like it really should be talked about because you want to rebuild this franchise. It's not going to take one off season to rebuild the franchise and actually get better and be going to the NFC title game, trying to get a Super Bowl. It's like you got to start somewhere. And I just feel like, if the Vikings would have restarted everything maybe directly after Zimmer 2 years ago, 3 years ago with Zimmer or whatever, like they might be, and I'm saying might because we don't know what the fuck they're going to do. They might be in a better situation, but there's a lot of things we got to think about though. And I'm going to just put some pins on things and basically, just watch the league and see what happens because it's gonna get real interesting, especially if this team goes 2-5 in the next couple of weeks. Like it's gonna get mad interesting for real. So, thank you guys for basically, liking the videos, commenting on the videos. I really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel, like the channel, follow me on Instagram, X, Facebook, also TikTok. I know I gotta still put some more videos on TikTok. I really appreciate all the love you guys been giving me. So you know how I end it. Skol, baby.
Thanks for tuning into the Skol State of Mind podcast. Take a beat to give us a 5-star rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. Join us next time, and don't forget to follow Skol State of Mind on all social media platforms to keep up with all the news and updates. Thanks again for listening, and as always, Skol Vikings.